Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I trust the Lord has kept you well. I'm fine. I want us to talk about parenting tips that we can use as we bring up our children in the ways of God. I know we have been wondering what's happening with our society nowadays. Is it that we brought up children that didn't get to the tips and the rules that we brought them up? I thought it's something good that we can share so that we can help each other in this parenting journey. Now that our children are within, there are those children that are small, there are those children that are already grown up, and eventually we have children even who are grown ups and they have their own homes. And it's usually said that there are 3 seasons in parenting. Uh, there's a stage, a season where you're in charge of that child, especially the between 0 to around 18 or so. And then there's a stage where the children are in charge of themselves. You know, they do things through their own, self. The way you have brought them up is what they utilize when they are in that other season. Then there's also a stage where the child is in charge of themselves and also in charge of you as a parent. So those 3 stages are very, very, how to negotiate them depends on how you brought them up, especially between the 0 to 18. So it's wise that we get some of these tips so that you'll know when this child is under my care, what are the things that I can actually help them, be able to be self-driven, be able to take care of themselves, be responsible in their lives, be responsible in the way they carry out themselves. So, because you realize when this last stage, when they're in charge of themselves and also in charge of you, and you get into that stage of nesting, they're out of your hands. They have their own families. If you didn't bring them up, most of the parents nowadays are actually struggling to get attachment to their children when it's a bit too late. So it's good the care that you give them when they are growing up. That same care will be transformed to taking care of you even in your old age. So it's good to build that bond. It's good to build up children who will not only be healthy, but they will be emotionally attached in their ways of life. That's why that they will not abandon you. Or when they are going through the life challenges, in that stage where they are in charge of their lives, they'll be able to get solutions or even get out of the problems that they are in. So some of these tips when you are parenting, especially the 0 to 18, I'll dwell more on that because this is the most critical stage. And it said that the brain of a child, our brains somehow stop developing at around age 26 hapo. So we need to actually take care of that stage because the things that is garbage in will be garbage out. Whatever we teach them is what they will exemplify in their life after they get out of your hands. So some of the tips when you're parenting, and especially these small children, let us have rules in the house. The same way we have rules in the school, the same way we have a time to go to class from 0 to this hour. Let's also develop rules in the house. Develop rules of how they need to, take care of their bedrooms, take care of themselves, take care of the time that they have allocated for them, doing those house chores. And don't shy off from giving your children those duties. Let them even develop those rules themselves, Be involved in terms of supervising those rules. Then the other tip is being consistent. Being consistent with those rules that they set. You can actually come in, you can ask them randomly or even brainstorm in one of the family fellowships on coming up with some of those rules. And then you as a parent, be consistent. Teach them to be consistent because you will actually realize when something is consistent, it becomes like, so easy to do it. You don't need to be reminded because consistency helps them even in the way they bring out a structure within themselves to know that at this time I'm expected probably to wash the dishes. In this time I'm expected to do my homework. In this time I'm expected to go to sleep. Otherwise, if you don't have those rules and you are not consistent, you'll have children wanting to sleep at any hour that they want. You'll have children who want to do things their own way without any guidance, like carefree. So after being having the rules and also have being consistent with what they come up with, find a balance between over control and under control. Because sometimes you can be you can be a parent who over controls them and they feel like you're domineering in their lives. Have that sense of balance between over control and under control. Don't be on their neck like you want even to, like, if it's their bedrooms, you just want to get in without even their notice. Let's build those healthy boundaries between also our children. Don't over control them so that you'll not find yourself when they are married that you even want to know what they are cooking. When they are out of your hands, you want even to know how they are spending their money. That's over control. And then under control is where you also, you don't care. No, let's find a balance there in the middle. As in, no, be involved, but also don't be over involved in their especially the decision making. They'll actually feel like you're bogging. You're poking too much into their affairs. The other thing, when you're parenting, use a firm voice. It's not bad to be firm. It will help a child know that there's an authority over my life. Use a firm voice. Use words that are respectful also to them. The way you express yourself, both non-verbal and verbal, it will actually help the children get to know that my mom's voice, whatever, if she says yes, it means yes. If she says no, it means no. And sometimes you will find parents who probably have gone through traumatic issues. They are not able to voice out what is in them. They will leave the house girl probably to tell the child 1, 2, 3. Get that voice. This is your child, mind you. It's not somebody else's child. Those painful moments sometimes may remind you so many things, but you as a parent, rise above it and voice out what you want to see in your child. Tell them, don't shy off by telling them the way. In fact, it's said that train up a child in the way that they should go, and eventually they will not leave the ways of God. Because these are the children that Jesus said, let them come to me. But will they come to Jesus when you have not shown them who Jesus is? Train them. Be the role model of what you want to see in your children. The other thing is having consequences for the errors they make. Let them even come up. How do you want this? If you get out of this way, how do you want, you to be disciplined? But remember, as a parent, you also have the charge of disciplining your children. If also you also give them too much leeway to know what is the consequence, it may be bad. But it's also not wrong when you involve them and tell them, if you don't do these house chores, what is the consequence? Probably I will reduce your hours of maybe watching that cartoon. If you don't do this, I will reduce this for you. Something that they love. Look for something that they love and make it like a sort of a punishment to them. Because if you don't have those consequences that come up out of them doing wrong, they will think everything is free, or rather everything should be done in a certain way. Do have a consequence that also you will not suffer. As in, don't tell the child, today you'll stay at home. And it's a small child. And then you're supposed to be at work. You are suffering, and at the same time the child is suffering. Make consequences that you're not the one to suffer. As in, consequences that can be accommodated within the circle of that child. So consequences are good. Make your voice very firm. Have rules in the house. Be consistent, and above all, teach your children to love God. Teach your children so that there will be a lineage. Even when you read the story of Jesus, he had generations. I think 14 from Abraham to David. There were 14, and then from David to Jesus, around 20, another 14. So in total 28. And in all those generations, we read of men who made impact in his life. So parenting is something that we actually need to come up to get out of our cocoons, so that we may bring up a generation that will not shy off because they have not been parented well, a generation that will live with the society, not bringing chaos, because they were not taught some of these rules. So may God help us, each one of us. I know we are parents in one way or the other, and those who are not even yet parents, God has entrusted you to be probably a foster parent to someone, or to be a natural parent to someone that you're mentoring. So let's not shy off from this parenting role, so that we may bring up a generation that is good. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.